share them with you. So with that out of the way, let's get started with our lesson today, understanding Shakespeare's language and culture. So a few key points first to understand for Shakespeare's life. He lived between 1564 to 1616. He went to a public school where he learned Latin and scriptures and logic. This was quite unusual for the time, as not every student was educated, was literate, was able to read and write, and certainly it was only boys who were taught for the most part. Some young women were educated, especially if they were highborn, but for the most part it would be men, and it'd have to be men from rich families, from families who could afford to send their children to school, whereas William Shakespeare's family, when he was growing up, weren't particularly rich. And then from that point on, not a lot is known about Shakespeare. There are a few different theories for how he became interested in theatre and how he became a playwright. One, that he saw a play at Warwick Castle with part of the monarch's pageantry, and then became really interested in plays in that way. Another, that he ran away to London and became a stable hand looking after the horses of theatregoers. Another, that he became a teacher. Another, that he went to Italy. So there's a few different theories. We're not entirely sure what happened to him as a young man. The first reference we have from him after going to school is as a young upstart crow, which is the description given to him by a critic of his first plays in this magazine, Green's Groatsworth of Wit, which is essentially a review of plays at the time. His son, Hamlet, one of 3 children, contracted the Black Plague and died at age 11 in 1596, and we know that this certainly would have had a very strong impact on Shakespeare's mental health, and we can see different references to this in his plays. So when he talks about how the death of children is perhaps the worst thing that a parent can endure, we know that he's speaking from personal experience. Or when he has the character named Hamlet, the name is so similar to Hamlet that we know that there must be a reference there for a particular reason, and that he's named his most famous character after his son, perhaps as a way to memorialize him. Okay, Shakespeare's company performed often for Queen Elizabeth I. They were very popular with both monarchs. The point to note here is that if you are studying a play that was written and performed before 1603, you should be talking about an Elizabethan audience, because the audience that went to go see that play would have been called Elizabethan because they were during the reign of Queen Elizabeth. Whereas if you are talking about a play performed after 1603, or written and performed after 1603, then you're talking about a Jacobean audience. So after Queen Elizabeth's death, then James I, the new king, came into power, and Shakespeare's company was just as popular with King James I, and they became known as the King's Men. And lastly, he died in 1616 at age 52. Once again, a few different ideas about how he died, a few different theories. One, that he was poisoned. One, that he may have committed suicide. We don't know entirely how he died. We do know that this is his tomb inscription, where he is buried, which is essentially saying, don't move my bones, don't mess with my grave, and that you're blessed if you leave my grave alone, cursed if you decide to try and move or mess with my grave. Okay, so that's a little summary of who Shakespeare was. Important just to know those basic facts for when you're talking about his plays.